to our channel. I'm Josh. What do you usually do on Holy Thursday? If you're like us, we usually do the Visita Iglesia. To explain it further, I will share with you this article written by Father Luis Cornell. Visita Iglesia, Spanish for church visit, is a Holy Week devotion among Filipino Roman Catholics of some visiting 7 or sometimes 14 churches in order to pray and meditate on the Passion of Jesus Christ. It is usually done in the late afternoon or early morning of Holy Thursday, after the Mass of the Last Supper, when the Blessed Sacrament is already reserved at the altar of repose for adoration inside the church until midnight, when it is concluded without solemnity, since liturgically the day of the Lord's Passion has already begun. This practice, which became a tradition, was evidently influenced by the Spaniards who colonized the Philippines for nearly 4 centuries and introduced the Roman Catholic faith. It was thought that the Augustinian friars, the pioneer missionaries of the Philippines, who arrived in 1565, propagated this devotion. They were inspired by their fellow Augustinian, Saint Philip Neri, who established a confraternity in 1548 to minister the needs of thousands of poor pilgrims who flocked to Rome, especially during the Jubilee years, and established in 1559 the visitation of the 7 traditional pilgrim churches in Rome as a form of penance. The circuit of 7 churches is traditionally composed of St. John Lateran, St. Peter, St. Mary Major, St. Paul outside the walls, St. Lawrence outside the walls, Holy Cross in Jerusalem, and St. Sebastian outside the walls. Pope John Paul II replaced St. Sebastian with the Sanctuary of the Madonna of Divine Love for the Jubilee year of 2000. Visita Iglesia is based on the biblical account of the first sorrowful mystery, the agony in the garden. After the Last Supper, when Jesus Christ instituted the sacraments of the Holy Eucharist and Holy Order, Jesus went to a place called Gethsemane to pray, where he felt sorrow and distress. He asked his apostles, Peter, James, and John, to remain and keep vigil with him, but they fell asleep 3 times. Then Judas Iscariot kissed Jesus as a sign of his betrayal, which is the beginning of the Lord's Passion. Likewise, in the practice of Visita Iglesia, Jesus is asking the faithful to remain awake, to keep vigil, and to accompany him in the sufferings that is taking place. There is no prescribed prayer for the Visita Iglesia, since it is not essentially a part of the liturgy, but a popular piety. However, there is a prayer guide that was distributed by the Diocese of Canabatuan that reflects on the readings when Jesus is praying in the garden. Also, there are some that would accompany their visit with their personal prayers and the meditation of the mysteries of the Holy Rosary. Others would pray the Via Crucis, or some would call it Stations of the Cross, a tradition taught by the Franciscans. 2 stations in one church, even though some have expanded the number of churches into 14, one in each station. It is also recommended to include the poor and suffering fellow men in our intentions. There is no prescribed number of the churches to be visited either. Traditionally, it is a 7 in number, which signifies completeness and perfection, while a contemporary and more penitential 14 churches can also be practiced. Nevertheless, the number of churches does not really matter because what's important is that the faithful prays intently and deeply from their heart. The practice is admirable because it makes the vigil of the reserved Blessed Sacrament inviting, and it deepens the prayer and contemplation of the Passion of Christ. It is not only a way for family members to bond, but also to cultivate in each member the spirit of prayer and penance. Our prayer group, the Joy in the Spirit of the Lord Prayer Community, has been doing Visita Iglesia years before I was even born. Mommy and Daddy told me that every year there is a traditional group picture at St. Philip Neri's Church, and you can see me grow each year. Last year, due to the pandemic, we were not able to do the actual Visita Iglesia, but luckily, we were able to do it virtually via Zoom. This year, as we mentioned before, it's not that safe, so we will have to improvise and do it virtually again, as long as we keep the tradition while deepening our faith and devotion. Please share with us your Holy Thursday tradition because we would like to read it in the comments down below. Have a very solemn Maundy Thursday to all of you, and may this Holy Week be a meaningful meditation for all of us as we contemplate on the coming Passion of Christ.